What is up, everyone? JD Geeks here. Today we are doing an unboxing and build guide for the SBL 2. I am super excited to get into this because I did push this video off for a short while. There was a bunch of new things that I was getting in, and I did want to put those out first for you guys before I did decide to actually show the build guide of this. I did recently show my review of the SBL 2, and I have gotten some slight upgrades to the 3D printed parts than in this initial build guide video. So if you do have any questions, put them in the comment section below and I will get to them as soon as possible. But other than that, enjoy the unboxing and build guide. I will see you there. What is up, everyone? JD Geeks here. Today, I am very excited to say that I have a package from Ideal Foam Blasters. This is a package that I have wanted for a very long time, and I have been putting off buying this blaster for different reasons. There are also some other things in this package that I got as well, but I have been putting off buying this blaster because I've really wanted to use some of the other blasters that I had, although I did really like this one. I have recently been using my G2 Max quite a bit, and I have heard of some people's G2 Max breaking, and because mine is a limited color, I did actually want to try to preserve that blaster, so I decided to get this instead. This blaster is a fan favorite in the hobby, and I'm very excited to show it to you today. So let's actually go to the table and I'll open up this package I got. All right, so here we are at the table. I am continuing to try this newer method. I feel like it worked a little bit better than my initial setup that I had. So I am going to keep trying this way until I find something better, but let's open this package right up. So I did look around a bit while purchasing this blaster to try to find the spot that had the best price for it. And then, well, my cat decided to jump up here. Let's get her down. I wanted to find the best price of the blaster so that I could spend, obviously, the least amount of money while getting exactly what I wanted. So, not quite sure how this will be packaged. There we go. Ideal Foam Blasters. This is a Nerf toy, and then some of the hardware. Some of you might be able to tell just from seeing some of this hardware, but the blaster that we are talking about today is, let's see what's in this box actually right here. Let's see, because I think this is the rest of the hardware. It is. If you couldn't tell before, you might be able to tell now. The blaster that we got is the SBL 2. I've wanted this blaster for a very long time. It has been a fan favorite in the hobby for a very long time, and I'm just very glad to finally have my hands on it. The capability of being able to quick swap the springs and things like that is just great, and I'm really excited to build this. So I am actually going to build this blaster off camera. I will try to record a build video and that would be a separate video if I do decide to do that. But I do want to just show that I did get it and the hardware for it, and I think it looks pretty darn cool. I like the cobalt blue. I'm excited to see how my color combo actually works out for this blaster. And then we have the other Delrin parts, the back picatinny for the stock and things like that. But that's enough talking about the hardware. Let's move on to the rest of the package, and then we can talk about more of the blaster later. And one more quick thing. This extra bit of plastic here with the extra hardware is actually the EX kit for the SBL. I was very, very excited to get the normal SBL, and just in case I ever decided I wanted to hit a little bit higher FPS-wise, I did want to just grab the EX kit too, because it was on sale when I purchased this. But the other thing that I got are right here. They are the 1.2 gram bamboo darts. These darts are some of my favorite darts. I've talked about potentially using them before, but I never really had enough. This package should let me start using them for my videos. I should be able to start using them for FPS tests and accuracy tests if I would like. But these I've seen to be pretty good, pretty comparable to like T-darts, for example. They weigh 1.2 grams and they are bambooed. Their foam is pretty solid, and their glue is also pretty good around the stem. The head of the blaster does come a little loose, like this one, for example, but the stem is so solidly in there that it won't even leak air. And these are very, very consistent. So I did want to pick some up just to use them. They are very, very cheap on Ideal Foam Blaster's site. They are around $12 for 200, which is crazy. And if you buy 80, or if you buy the darts in, I think 400 or maybe it's 600 and 1200, you can get them for slightly cheaper than you can normally get them. So I did pick up a bunch of the darts, and that is all that should be in this package. I've been really excited to have this blaster for a while now, and all of my pieces are finally 3D printed, so I do want to assemble this blaster. I do have a couple pieces that are printed in multiple colors, and some that I plan on changing out to fit different colors that I like. Like this one, this is one piece that I had printed in 2 colors. I actually plan on trying to get this also printed in 2 colors to get this top Picatinny rail, that same blue is right here, just to fit what I would like a bit more. And then I do have 2 of the rear portion of the pistol grips, just so I could choose which one I like. I am also thinking about getting the same dark blue as this, and then putting the or painting the little like textured area here. I am also going to get a gray version of the front foregrip, because I actually, after getting it, do really like how this feels. So I would actually not mind having one of these on the blaster, since it does match with the rest of it. So let's jump right in to the SBL itself. So it comes with 5 different types of springs. Comes with blue, green, yellow, pink, and red. The blue spring will be hitting right around 130. The green spring right around 150. The yellow spring right around 195. And then the pink spring at 215 and the red spring at 235. So seems to have a decent spread of FPSs that this can hit, and I know that's why a lot of people do like this blaster. So let's jump right into building the SBL. So one of the first things that you have to do is get a 12 millimeter standoff. Let me actually pour these out right here. And take your lower assembly and you put it in the trigger, actually, right here. I did actually get a second trigger, so I will show both off really quickly. This one did not seem to print very well, so I guess I won't be using that one. But so we have one that was 3D printed and it had a hole in the center. And then this one right here, which is just the normal trigger. So looks like we'll just go with this one for now. So you take the stand off and you put it in here just like so. And then you will take your assembly and just slide it right down in just like so. Let me see. Push that down just a bit more with this Allen key I got. There we go. Just like that. Okay, and then the next step would be to take two M3 by 8 millimeter screws. So I'm actually going to check it with this little helpful tool that I got, but I'm pretty sure I already know which ones they are. So, nope, those are, yep, so those are M3s. And then by 8, yep, that is the correct one. So you'll take one of those and a Phillips head screwdriver, and we will just screw that right in. So you will do one of these on each side of the trigger. Just like so. Okay. And you can also put a little bit of lube on here as well, which I'm actually going to do in a little bit, not right this second. So next up is to get your sear, and you want to get another one of those screws. And then a 6 millimeter spring. Start screwing that in right here. I'm just put this right on, just like so. And I'm going to tighten it down just a tad bit more, just to make sure it's on there nice and good, just like that. So your next step is to take another one of these standoffs and throw it right in. And then what I'm actually going to do is take that lube I said I was going to use later. I just got a little bit of slug slime, and I'm just going to drop a bit in here, right on the end, just like so. And then I'm actually going to take a little tool and rub it around a little bit. Then you're going to want to put this right down in this hole and let the notch kind of slide in, and you will see it pop in right here to that little hole right there. You will take 2 more of those M8 screws and just screw those right in as well. Just like so. The trigger is now working. And just make sure your catch is going up and then down, just like so. So there are some imperfections in the 3D printing here, but overall it's pretty good. But I don't know, I think it's still going to look great when it's fully assembled. So just going to make sure all these are tightened really quick. Okay. The next step is to get some lube again, and you want your actual mag release buttons, which mine are right here. And then you will lubricate each button and put it in the spot where you will be contacting them. So put a little bit of lube. And then just make sure this one with the groove facing that way, you'll just put in the hole right in here. It is a pretty tight fit for mine. There we go. And then do the same exact thing with the other end right here. So as I was saying, you just take this. I'm actually going to put a little bit of lube on here just to be sure. This is to actually catch the magazine. So you'll just take this spring here and just guide it right in. Just trying to make sure I don't bend it or anything while putting this in here. And then you will just take it and slide it down and try to just squeeze in the spring and get it to help hold that into place. So now I'm just going to add just a tad bit more lube on the outside pieces here, and then in the connection points on the inside there, just to try to make this a tad bit smoother until it officially, till it breaks in. It does seem like the mag release is working, but it could definitely be a little smoother. And just that little bit of extra lube already seems like it really helped settle this in. So the trigger is working. The mag release is now working. So we should be doing just fine. Let's make sure. So if you do push on the bottom, it does seem like it's a little funky, but I pushed right on the top and it seemed to release it perfectly again. So let's just see why that's happening. It seems like it's kind of pinching the bottom of it, but that should wear out over time. So the next step here is we are adding an extra piece as well, just so we can fit other types of magazines, which will also probably help with the issue that we were just having. So you will take another one of those 5mm springs, one of the longer ones, and then lube this piece up as well. Take your spring and then do the same thing we just did and try to just guide the pieces in together. Well, I got it for a split second there, and then I accidentally knocked it out of place. Let me get rid of the hair and dirt that I just got on this, and then reapply some lube, and then we should be good to go. Okay. Now let's see here. That time it was much easier. Does seem like once these other pieces are installed, it will definitely hold a lot better with that in there. So now that we have both magazine releases in, the top and the bottom part, for the catch of the magazine and the trigger assembly, we can move on. And the next step is actually taking the pieces that were given to you in the kit and your plunger tube, and we will start to assemble the blaster. I have not yet taken these apart, so it is definitely a little tight, but that is a good thing in my opinion. So this comes out here. There we go. So you will need this piece right here, just like so, and then your plunger tube, which I have right here. And then you will just slide that just like so. They are slightly different colors, which kind of is a little irritating, but nothing major. And then you will take this 3D printed part right here and do that just like so. Your next step is to just kind of connect them in just like that. And the plunger tube actually matches almost perfectly with the blue filament that I selected. So that actually makes me very, very happy. That looks absolutely amazing together. Okay, and then you will take this metal 3D printed piece here, which does feel a little flimsy, I'm not going to lie. But I mean, overall, it's metal versus 3D printing, so it should be a little bit better. Then you will take this part right here for the spring when you're actually using the blaster. Then you'll need an M5 by 30 millimeter bolt. So let me get those out really quick. And again, just to clarify, we are at 30 and it is an M5. So take that and just screw that right in. Definitely be easier with a screwdriver. So now that I got that kind of seated in there, a little too big. There we go. Now we're just going to tighten that right down. And it already has some Loctite on all of these bolts, it's looked like. So I'm actually very glad that they're doing that versus me needing to put it on myself. And now that that's on there, that is very, very sturdy. Okay, so the next step is to put this on here like so. And then we need to get a M4 by 130, which I'm assuming is going to be right in this packaging right here. There they all are. So it definitely won't be able to test the size or the length, but the size is definitely an M4, but that is way over my tester. For everything else, I'm assuming these are going to be, oh no, they are definitely different lengths here. So we have 3 shorter ones and 3 longer ones, but the longer ones are a larger size. They are M5 versus M4. So these are the 3 that I will need. So you'll just take that and just guide it right into here, just like so. I'm just going to start tightening it down, but not go all the way. Just like that. Then I'll guide in these other ones as well and do the same thing. Tighten that up just a tad bit. Don't want to make them too tight, but I definitely don't want them to be loose. Okay, there we go. Just like that. We are now done with this portion. So the next step is to put in whatever grip you choose. For now, I'm going to be choosing this grip right here because I think it does look pretty good. So take one of these little locking nuts again, standoffs, and put that right into your hole right here. There we go. Then once that's in, just take whatever grip you choose and slide it right on just like so. Then you will take 2 of those M3 by 8mm screws again and just screw those right in. Just like so. Trigger works. Mag release buttons work better now that there's some force on the top here, and probably easier to see from the bottom. Both of those are moving, so that is very, very good. And cannot see in here. Grab this light again. The release in the back is working just fine. That is good. Just making sure that everything is working the way it's supposed to. Okay. And now the next step is to take your priming rods and your picatinny rail right here. And you will take this and just set it like so. And then you're going to want to have, so there's actually 2 different types here. You're going to want the one here with threads on it on the closer side, and the side with threads on the rear side, sorry, and the side with no grooves on the side closest to you, like so. Then you're going to want a washer and a 5 by 30mm bolt, and we are going to assemble that. So we're going to need these out as well, so it's easier to get to. So you're going to need some of these bolts here. Again, 30 by 5. And then you're going to want some of the little washers from this baggie here. And then what you will do is screw these both together. So let's do one at a time here. As I was saying, you just take the 5 by 30 millimeter screws and just tighten these right down, just like so. There we are. And then the next step will be to take this portion right here, take your 2 pins, set those off to the side, and this portion right here, and slide these in just like so. And then you're going to take a 12 millimeter standoff and slide it in a hole right here. All right, so once you have that piece jammed in there and this piece there, you will then take your priming block, which you just made, and just kind of guide it in just like so. And then you will want to take your front metal piece right here, and you're going to want to just line that up as well. Afterwards, you will take the longer screws like so with one of the washers. All 3 of them like that. And then you will just guide it right in. Just make all these a little snug. And then you should be good to go. I'm actually going to loosen mine slightly on these bottom parts just to make the prime a tad bit easier for me. There we go, just like so. And then you will take your barrel and you're going to want to just slide this in. Oh, I actually must have tightened mine a bit too much because the barrel will not go in. So if your barrel won't go in, just loosen some of these. It should slide in pretty easily. Just like so. And then it will stop once it hits all the way in the rear, just like so. There's that metal bit right there that will stop it. And then once you're done with that, just tighten these just a tad bit more. Just like so. There we go. Alrighty. Next up, we're actually going to be making the pusher. So you're going to take this and your O-rings. There we go. And grab one of the larger O-rings here. And one of the smaller. You'll take your larger O-ring and put it there. Your smaller O-ring right around there, just like that. Okay, and now you will take that piece that we just did before and slide the ram right in like so. Then you want some of the shorter screws that we have not used yet, the 3x6, which I'm assuming is this one right here. So three by does not want to stay. It's a little bit longer, so maybe it's one of these. Nope. I think it has to be those. Yeah, definitely does. So, actually, let me check in here. There they are. Those are the ones I want. So it was actually in this bag. These ones are actually going to be silver, not black. So you'll need 4 of these M3x6. Let's actually pour those out as well. Make it a bit easier. Actually, it's the only 4 that you will get of them. So then you will just take that and get the cracked head. And just slightly tighten these. Now that all 4 are in, you can really tighten it down just so you don't end up losing any. Let me actually grab my other screwdriver really quick. Okay. And now those are tightened on there, nice and tight. The next step is to take whatever type of shroud you chose. I actually chose a different one than the normal, and just slide that right on. Mine is a little tight, so it's going to take me a bit of force to get this on, but you just slide it on those grooves right there. All right, so now that I'm done, I did have to use a good bit of force and actually sand down the lips just a tad bit because of how tight my fit was. And you can still kind of see a little gap right there. No matter how much I push, it will not quite go away. So I think after putting the screws in and like, because these holes are lined up just fine with this blue part right in here. So I'm not too worried about it not working. But the next step after putting the shroud on is you take these 2 bolts right here and you will just tighten these right down. Not going to do that one quite all the way yet. Okay. And just like that, it is looking pretty good. Okay, next up you will take one of these with the little rubber piece and the M6 grub screw, and all you will really have to do is take it and screw it in through that to try to reach the barrel, just to hold it in place. So let me find the correct sized head, just like that. And then you just want it to get a little snug just to ensure that the barrel is held in place. And I'm actually going to have to use my other screwdriver for this. Because that one is too short. There we go. So just a little bit, just to make sure that the barrel is really in there nice and tight. And then the next step is just adding padding to this right here and adding your O-ring to it. So let's grab another one of these big O-rings right here. And you will just slide that right over like so. Take your padding, remove the sticker, and try to make it placed on there as evenly as possible, just like so. And then your next step is to just lube up the insides and put it together. So after watching back the footage, I actually realized that I did not fully record putting together the SBL. In the initial recording, I did actually lose this piece here. I actually never ended up finding it, but I did have to reprint it. So when I was done reprinting it, and I went back to the SBL footage to start recording, putting together the stock, I had already put the rest of the blaster together, and I guess I forgot to record that bit. So here is a quick explanation of just how to put the blaster together. So you have your front upper of the blaster with your pusher. Just make sure these O-rings are lubed up. You do not want them to not have any lube, especially if you are using the blaster. Then you will lube up this piece right here with your pad, your plunger, and your plunger pad. Then you will choose whatever spring you are going to use. I personally have the yellow spring for 200 FPS because that is what my local games play with. So you then just drop in your spring, make sure it sits on that spring rest that you initially put in here. Then drop in your plunger just like so. And then you will have these two lips here and some two riding rails there. You will just take that and make sure that both sides are on. And then you can just push the blaster together like so. And then take your two pins that you have and just slot those right in. That is how simple it is to put this blaster together, and then it works like a charm. So let's head back to the normal video so I can show assembling the stock that it comes with, and then we will wrap up the rest of the video. I will see you there. All right, and now for the last thing that you have to do in order to build the SBL is actually assemble the stock adapter piece for the picatinny in the back. So you just need to take this right here, the little metal piece that they gave you in your hardware, and then this 3D printed piece right here. So all you have to do with those pieces is take two of the 5mm springs, which are the longer ones. Just like so. Then you will just take them and guide them right in like so. Then you will need 2.6 by 8mm screws, which are the smallest screws that you get. I'll show you what those look like in just a second. And you'll only need 2 of them. Just like these. They're very small, but that is what you'll need. So let me get a screwdriver head that fits them. Like so. Okay. And then you will just put the springs in and then push them straight down with your metal piece here. Put the cover over that. And then you can just screw these in just like so. Once these are tight, like that, your stock should be able to be worked. You should see that piece disappear and come back. It's kind of hard to tell, but right in here, that little blue bit. And then your next step is to just attach your picatinny piece right here. So just take it and slide it up from the bottom and then line up those holes. And then you'll take one M5 by 30 millimeter bolt and one of the nuts and screw that in. Let me see here. So there's one of those. And then one of the nuts. So you'll then just take that, put the bolt right through the hole here, wherever it lines up. Let me see here, it doesn't want to go in. Just needs some force, I guess. There's just some 3D printing in the way, so it doesn't want to just push right through, but yours should just slide right in. And then I'm gonna throw the nut where it needs to go. And finish tightening this right up. Just like so, that adapter is now put on. So the last step you need for this is just attaching the actual stock to your priming rods. So just take the end with the flat side here and slide it directly in with the flat side facing inward. And then take some M3 by 8 millimeter screws and put those right in. You can't always get a buffer tube picatinny adapter and just run a normal buffer tube stock on this blaster if you would like to do that. But this stock, we'll have to see how the length is. It should be just fine for this blaster because it is meant to be a small compact blaster. So once you're done screwing those in, all you have to do is push in the button right here and slide that all the way through. Take two more of those screws and just to hold these in so they don't go anywhere, you'll just screw these right in here. Okay, and now that is the full blaster completely assembled. You have your adjustable stock, you have your priming grip, your exchangeable barrel, magazine release, trigger assembly, and then if you push out these two pins, you get your quick swappable springs. Let's actually test the air seal on this blaster because I am kind of curious. That is a beautiful, beautiful air seal on a very beautiful blaster. This is definitely now one of my favorite blasters that I own. And I'm very, very excited to do some reviews on this blaster when I get a chance. But that does wrap up my review on the build guide for the SBL. The last thing that you really have to do, if you do want to add anything else to your blaster, is just throw on some type of orange tip and rifling, because most places need rifling or orange tips, not rifling. And then I'm going to just quickly throw on some of the worker iron sights, because I do like them more than the 3D printed ones that I saw online. So these are the last things that you really have to do. It's just anything that you want to customize on your own blaster. Now that I have my worker iron sights on there and my orange tip, we are good to go with the SBL 2. I'm very excited to get a review out of this blaster shortly, so keep an eye out for that. This is JD Geeks signing off. Have a good one.